It's great to welcome Georgia Rose. She is an up-and-coming musical talent in Peterborough, Ontario. How you say, Georgia? Thank you for joining us.
I'm pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. First, I'd like to mention that your mom told me that you are studying English literature at Trent University.
Yeah,
She also studied English literature, and I happen to also got a degree there. So, tell me about that. How's the program going?
I'm really enjoying it so far. I really like my classes, and Trent's a really nice community, so I'm really happy to be there.
Okay, yeah. Do you happen to be studying any classes with Professor Stephen Brown? I wonder if he still teaches there.
I know he still teaches there. I don't have any classes with him this year, but I'm hoping to if he's still teaching there in the next couple years.
Oh yeah. I think if you have an opportunity to take his classes, you really should. He's wonderful. I'm glad he
Hmm.
still teaches there. And I wonder, I know that after I left, Trail College built an amphitheater. So
Yeah,
have you had a chance to, I guess, see any performances there at all?
I haven't had a chance to get to the amphitheater yet, but I'm pretty sure I've seen the outside of it. Haven't gotten in there yet, though.
I see. So do you take most of your classes at Trail College or the main campus?
My classes are on the main campus this year. I think maybe in third or fourth year, more of my classes will be at Trail because
Okay.
that's kind of like more English uh, department, sort of. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the case with me too. I had to take those bus trips from downtown that takes you like 20 minutes
Hmm.
from the downtown area to the main campus. And when it's snowy, it can be quite a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So by the way, today is the 31st of October. So if you're celebrating Halloween, happy Halloween.
Hmm.
Yeah. So what do you typically do for Halloween each year?
It's different every year. This year I'm playing at a fundraiser for Right to Heal, so it's a Halloween dance. There's a bunch of different local musicians playing there, and I'm really happy to be one of them. So, yeah.
Mhm. Tell me about the charity.
Um, sorry. I know Right to Heal, they do a lot in the community, and it was Peterborough's Got Talent was also a fundraiser for that organization. Um, I know it's a big part of Peterborough, a very like community oriented
Okay,
thing, and they deal with like addiction and other things like that, and really try to help people.
I see. Yeah. I have the fortune of living in Peterborough for some years when I was going to Trenton. So I wonder, do you live on the downtown side or the side that is across the bridge? I don't know which is east or which is west.
I actually don't live right in Peterborough. I live outside of Peterborough in the Lakefield Durrow area.
Oh, okay.
I did grow up in Peterborough though, more on like the west end.
I see. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah. So when did you move from Peterborough to Lakefield?
Um, I moved around 2018-ish to Lakefield, and then my mom moved to Durrow in about 2021.
I see. Yeah. Tell me, how did you get started in music?
Um, I've always really been like interested in music, and I kind of grew up with music around me and everything. I did band all throughout school, in elementary and high school, so I was always very musically inclined. But I didn't pick up guitar until I was 15, so in like 2022. And I was really inspired by Taylor Swift. She's one of my biggest inspirations because she uses like writing sort of as a release, like therapy to like get over a situation. So I really wanted to be able to write, and so I thought the easiest way to write music, obviously, I need to have an instrument to go along with that. So I started learning guitar, and learning some cover tunes at first, but then I started writing my own songs near the end of 2022.
I see. Okay. And what was your first performance in Peterborough?
The first time I got on stage was at the Black Horse in downtown Peterborough, the Monday night Crash and Burn with Rick and Gailey. They got me up to sing a few songs. So yeah, it was my first time playing in front of like an audience.
Hmm. And was it an open mic night?
It's sort of like a jam night, so anyone can come out and play with a band, or they got me up solo because I had never played with a band before. But I do the Tuesday night open mic a lot too.
Mhm. Yeah. And do you remember what songs did you play?
I don't remember the exact set list I played. I know I played one or two originals, and I think a Taylor Swift song in there too, probably.
Mhm. I see. Yeah. I used to visit the Black Horse sometime, yeah, during the pandemic, because the fiddler Irish Millie would play there, and she's become a great friend of mine. So, wonder, do you guys know each other?
Yeah, I know Irish Millie. I actually, when we were younger, we did a couple dance lessons together, and I'd always see her like around playing at local venues or markets or stuff like that, and she was really talented from a young age, and she's doing really great things. I really admire her.
Oh yeah, yeah, likewise. Yeah. So tell me more about Taylor Swift. Do you remember when was the first time that you were introduced her to her music?
The first song I really remember listening to and knowing that it was Taylor Swift was I Knew You Were Trouble. I just heard it on the radio like multiple times and I really liked it. It became like my favorite song around like 2012, 2013 when it was released. I think that was the first time I really started like liking Taylor Swift and knowing her name. And then from there, I just, with like the 1989 album, that really caught my attention and really got me into Taylor Swift.
I see. Yeah, I remember that was the time when she was like most popular,
Hmm.
and frankly, I didn't see the appeal all that much. But yeah, tell me, how does that song speak to you?
I think at the time, like I was really young, so I just really liked the melody and the beat of it, and um, I was just drawn to her vocals. But as I've gotten older, obviously I've gotten an appreciation for her songwriting abilities. Um, So I think for me, when I listen to her songs now, that's the first thing I go to is her songwriting, not necessarily like the musical melody side of it. So I think her songwriting is what really inspired me.
Hmm. Yeah, tell me more about that. You mean the lyrics, eh?
Yeah, so she's she's really good at like putting something like an emotion into words. See, sometimes people say, "Oh, I don't know how to put it into words," and I feel like certain things like that, Taylor is able to find a way to put that into words that make sense and also flow really nicely together. And yeah, it's something she's had years and years of practice with, and I think almost each album just gets deeper and more complex, and she's just really good at doing that with her lyrics.
Mhm. Um, how do you believe she depicts relationships, especially romantic ones?
Um, I think like for her, like writing songs is definitely a way to express her love in a relationship, but also to express the pain after a relationship. And I think she's also good at showcasing that it's not always just black and white, that there's a lot of levels of complexity in a relationship. There's depth, there's good and bad. Um, and I think she does a really good job of like showing that in her songs and like also using like the melody to like play into that. Like they go hand in hand when creating a song. I think. yeah, I think she just I don't know how she does it. She's a better songwriter than I am, but she's really good at showcasing the like deep levels of a relationship and not just the surface.
I see. Have you had a chance to check out her recent stuff?
Yeah, I'm pretty up to date with her recent albums, The Torture Poets Department. And yeah, like I said before, I think um, her writing is just even getting even more complex as she has more experiences in life and more experience with songwriting.
And what about her reissues of past albums? Do you notice any difference between the I guess the original initial release and the newer ones?
Um, I'd say she's like gone to really great lengths to try and make them very similar, but you can definitely hear a difference in her vocals just from when she was really young. Obviously, she would have gained a lot more vocal strength over the last the many years of her career. So I think you can definitely sort of hear that in the newer versions. And also, what I really like is getting the vault tracks, so the tracks that weren't originally released. I think that it's really nice that she's able to release those now, and um, it just gives us something new to listen to along with the old album done in a new way.
Mhm. Yeah. And have you had a chance to check out any of her concerts, especially the recent ones?
I haven't personally been to any of her concerts, but I've definitely been following the Eras Tour. It's an incredible um, sociological phenomenon, honestly, economically speaking, and just what it's done to bring fans together. I think it's been a very wild tour, and she's done so much during the tour, releasing a movie, an album, two re-released albums, and all that stuff that she's done while on tour. I'm hoping to be able to go to the Toronto dates. Don't have tickets yet, but still have hope.
That's
I'd
it.
love to go, but
Yeah. Well, I hope you can attend one of
thank
her
you.
shows as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know, the way I see it after, years of I guess finding out about Taylor Swift and maybe listening to some of her songs, I kind of gradually understand what she is about. I mean, I still don't find her like, I guess, all that appealing. But I read an article that I'll send it to you and your mom later. I hope your mom is a fellow Taylor Swift fan as well.
Mhm.
That so the article says that she speaks to a generation of young girls and women who are hoping for longer term relationships, but are acculturated by a, a rather shallow society that values short-term relationships and this kind of like playful enjoyment that doesn't go anywhere. So I wonder if is that the same experience that you receive, maybe both in your personal life and in the lyrics of Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I think Taylor has definitely um, felt that, had those short-term relationships, and she's expressed that in her songs. Um, how like I think yeah, in today's society, like when you're young, kind of, it's not these days it's not expected to have long-term relationships, even though I feel like that's something young girls or women like would want. Um, I think sometimes it's not like the same things that men would want, and I think Taylor kind of expresses how in the relationship she always believes that it's going to last longer than it does, and yeah, I think that very much relates to kind of how society is. And yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed too that at least since the early 2010s or mid 2010s, there's been a whole trend of pop music that leans towards loneliness. And that goes with both male and female performers. And of course, they depict loneliness differently with male. males and females. And I wonder, from your point of view, as someone who's younger than me, why is this a trend?
I think like in today's world, it's somewhat like difficult to find someone who is going to be like a true friend or even or significant other, someone who's like just a true companion. I think um, between the internet and social media and everything, it's really easy to just for everyone to put on a sort of fake persona and not reveal their true selves. So I think it's then easier for people to somewhat like hide their emotions or their lives. And then that, in that sense, it makes them feel lonely because they're not truly connecting with people. They're connecting sort of on a false level. So I think the idea of loneliness is sort of how in today's society we connect more online than we do in person, possibly. But also, I think it's a bit difficult to find a partner in life who is going to be a long-lasting partner and not just there for the short term, and someone like you can actually confide in and who knows everything. Um, I think what makes you feel lonely is not being able to express everything you're feeling inside. I think that's kind of where the loneliness comes in, is when you have a lot and you're only dealing with it with yourself.
Yeah. And I would add to that that the culture of therapy really isn't helping. Like when someone it's not feeling well, you just tell them that go see a professional, which you have to pay an exorbitant amount to do so, rather than just, be with them, guide them through it.
Hmm. Yeah, I find that therapy can be good, but also it depends on the person. Sometimes it may take a while for someone to open up, and they can't just open up to someone they just met. So I also think it's like important to be able to talk to someone who actually knows about you and about your life, not just kind of like a stranger. Um, I think professionals can help, but again, it is somewhat difficult to find help in today's society with the cost and I mean there are like alternatives and stuff like that, like in funding and all that, but I think it is sometimes difficult for people to reach out and find help, and sometimes it might not necessarily help them in their specific situation.
Yes, yeah. One of the lessons I learned upon leaving high school and going into university, um, I studied high school back in my home country of Vietnam, and I went straight to Peterborough to study at Trent. And I learned that there are there are quite a few people who, in their mind, they never really left high school. There, from the way I see it, there are people who had a bad experience in high school and cannot wait to move on from it, and those who had really good experiences in high school and wish to replicate it in their adulthood. And I've seen many of that. And I think for those who enjoyed high school a bit too much, they tend to replicate some of the bad things that I find in high school towards adult life. And the worst about it is this sort of clique mentality that you don't make connections with people based on you know genuine commonalities. You just hang out with them because they increase your social status in some ways. And I wonder, in your first year of university, do you notice anything similar and or different uh, during your high school years?
Um, for me, I haven't really indulged in the social sides of university yet. I've been really busy, but um from what I've seen, like for the most part, university definitely has a different social feel than high school. Um, I think like with time too, things have just changed. Like even in my high school, cliques were definitely like sort of a thing, but not as um not as majorly, not as like definitive as they were maybe like in the early 2000s. Um, but I personally haven't noticed that kind of like clique mentality. However, like I do know that um, a lot of people try to like extend their like maybe like their partying age of high school into university, and like sometimes that can have really negative effects on their learning and all that. So um, I don't doubt that some people like still try to hang on to their youth of high school throughout post-secondary education, and yeah, sometimes it can have negative effects.
Oh yeah, yeah, and yeah, I was like shocked at the level of partying I found in my first year too. Like it's unbelievable that people can do that and still go to classes in the
Hmm.
morning, for example.
Definitely.
Yeah. So aside from Taylor Swift, who are your other musical inspirations?
Um, I'll take inspiration from a lot of people. Olivia Rodrigo is one of them. I got to see her in concert, which was really nice. But um, I admire her like raw songwriting and like just authentic abilities in that regard. I also really like Gracie Abrams, who's an up and coming artist right now, and again, yeah, I more look at the songwriting as opposed to the style of music. I definitely more like indie pop than other genres. Um, I also really like Ed Sheeran for his songwriting, and um, yeah, I grew up listening to One Direction as one of my main um, bands that I listened to, so it's nice to follow their solo careers and know that like they are doing a lot of the songwriting on their songs now in their solo careers. So like Harry Styles and Niall Horan and Louis Tomlinson, I listen to them a lot.
Yeah, and speaking of One Direction, I'm sure you've heard of the tragic passing of one Liam Payne.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty tough for me and I think all the fans. Um, especially since no, technically the band never officially broke up. It was an 18th month hiatus, which just extended to about 10 years. So I think the passing of Liam kind of just made it official for everyone that One Direction is like a thing of the past, but I think it also brought back that inner child in a lot of us because I think many of the fans grew up listening to One Direction, whether it was in like their early teenage years or for me just as a like young child like ages between 6 and 11 kind of thing. So I think it just kind of brought back a lot of nostalgia for us kind of going back to One Direction after finding this out because um although Liam wasn't exactly the same person he was in One Direction, like we still know him as that person, and we know like he had good intentions and it's really unfortunate and sad um, how it ended for him.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I remember I was in like middle school when One Direction became popular, and I think for a brief time they sort of brought back the boy band wave that was around during the 90s with
Mhm.
Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and all that. There was another band that sort of in competition with them called The Wanted. And I know obviously One Direction became a more well-known name, but yeah,
Mhm.
for a very brief time, yeah, boy band was suddenly a thing,
Yeah.
which I find to be quite interesting.
Yeah, I don't think there's exactly been something quite like One Direction in Western culture since. Uh yeah, they kind of yeah, I think that's kind of like the last solid typical boy band like you said that kind of brought back that 90s ideology.
Mhm. I know that K-pop is very prominent with the boy band wave.
Mhm.
Are you a fan of that genre at all?
I don't listen to K-pop that much. I've listened to a little bit. I've heard like a few songs on the radio. Um, like it's not my favorite genre personally, but I know it's like a craze right now with a lot of people. I think that's really interesting. Yeah.
Oh yeah. because I live in Vietnam, I sort of experienced the K-pop craze like way before any of the people living in the Western Hemisphere ever did. And I never found it appealing. It's mostly, you know, my girl classmates who like them, and I can never
Mhm.
understand the lyrics, and I don't even see the appeal of the music. So it's a genre that I never actively choose to listen to, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about your mom, Terry, who's currently acting as your manager. How has she been doing with regarding the acceleration, so to speak, of your musical career?
She's definitely really a really solid foundation of my music career. Um, we've both been super busy in the past few months. So she does a lot of the booking for me because I'm so busy, like sometimes it's hard to reach out to people and find the time to just like send those emails, do those calls. So she's very on top of that. Right now she's booking all my gigs pretty much, which I'm really grateful for. And she does a lot of the promotional side, whether it's making posters or social media posts. She's does a lot of that. I do what I can for promotional too, but she's definitely more on top of that than I am. So it's really nice to have her around and um, have her in that aspect for my musical career.
I see. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you are going to release your debut single, I presume, around the end of this year. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, so that song is called Summer Weather that we're going to be releasing. We were originally hoping for an earlier release date, but lately a lot of personal things have come up for me, so it's been pushed back, and I think we're going to be releasing it at the beginning of the new year instead of the end of this year. So, yeah, I'm really excited for it. The whole experience of being in a studio and working with a producer has been a very new one for me and a very exciting one. So there's a lot that goes into a song and a lot of behind the scenes that you don't see, and I think it gave me a lot more appreciation for what artists put into it and what the producers put into it too.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear your new single.
Thanks.
Yeah, and hopefully whatever personal stuff that you're experiencing, they are going to or they have been better.
Thank you.
Yeah. So finally, Georgia, what does music mean to you?
Um, I think to me, music is kind of about bringing people together through shared experiences and for someone to be able to um, put an experience into words and also along with like a beautiful melody and arrangement and for a large group of people or even just a few people to listen, appreciate, and maybe even be able to relate to it. Um, I think that I think music is something that brings people together, which is really beautiful. Um, yeah, I think it's also a healing thing. And when you're going through a shared experience, if there's a song about it and you're able to listen to that and be like, that's what I'm going through, I think um, that's also like a really nice thing about music is to be able to relate to it and to be able to share it and to be able to connect to other people through music.
On that note, thank you very much, Georgia Rose, for joining the show.
Thank you.